Do you know what I see, gents? I see a huge amount of people, maybe the majority, who really, really love to argue. Because I came out of my flat maybe about 3/4 of an hour ago. I looked up at the sky and I saw these dark clouds, and I felt a tiny amount of raindrops fall on Miss Slaphead. And I thought to myself, there are loads of people that are really resentful and hate the rain. But then I think, in the same breath, they say that they love the greenery of the English countryside. And you can't have one without the other. So life for the adult and the seriously minded becomes a series of very important choices of how you're going to conduct yourself as a grown and confident man. And the truth is, I don't think a lot of people want to sort themselves out, because they're constantly looking, and this is what social media does a lot, constantly looking for somebody else to blame. They're constantly looking for people to be jealous of, to be resentful of. And you can see what happens to these people over the course of a scant few years, not many. Look what happens to politicians as well on the same token, that over a scant few years, these people age really, really dramatically and prematurely. And all that they end up doing is saying how hopeless things are and how there are no solutions. But they'll look at people and say, oh, well, you know, J.K. Rowling, she didn't really write the Harry Potter books. And the point is, to me, it's always been the case that it's not really the what's that matter. It's actually how you deal with things. And whether J.K. Rowling has written the Harry Potter books or not, whether the person purported to have written the works of Shakespeare, or it was a scriptorium of people, a group of people that were nothing to do with Shakespeare at all, wrote it all. It's like, well, yeah, but we've still created and have a legacy of these unbelievably influential works of art. Why? Why don't we say, good Lord, whoever it was, such a feat is possible? I think that is a really, really noble way to live. And the funny thing is, there's a podcaster that I watch who, he's had an ultra conversion to, well, a reawakening of Christianity in him. But in loads of his podcasts, and it's become quite pronounced in the most recent ones, this kind of black-pilled view of things, that he is the one who is most vociferously against people and condemning of them. And I think, yeah, there's a little bit of a disconnect here. You cannot welcome blessings into your life if you don't believe that they're possible for others. You can't do it. Those two contradictory beliefs, they totally cancel out the possibility of ever achieving what it is you want. You will not be rewarded for good works if you are resentful. And trying to hold those two opposing views in mind is a contradiction in itself. And I've said this on videos before, that wish people well, even if you are totally 100% and vehemently against those people. Christians are called, to pray for people's salvation. And whether you are religious or not, it's all of this stuff is a debate on how true all of these doctrines and belief systems and worldviews are. Because the idea that we know all of it is so arrogant and hubristic. we have to have some humility in all of this. And when I was talking about the weather at the beginning of this, the threatening rain, we use this really bad language. Rain's fucking brilliant. Rain's brilliant. Rain is what enables everything to be so green. Ireland would not be the Emerald Isle if it weren't for the copious amounts of rain that they have. And believe me, those people are hardy. They are resilient, and they can literally and figuratively weather any storm. They can, and they do. And this is the really interesting thing when you actually start to look at things more objectively. What are the Irish as a people renowned for? Well, they're renowned for their unbelievable joyousness and an artistic contribution to the world. You know, the local tavern in Ireland with the man on his fiddle and doing ceilidh dances, and you know, when you actually start to look at it, you realise just how many prisons you put yourself in by trying to mould the world into your worldview, when you don't actually know if every single premise that you believe, if every facet of life doesn't go your way, you don't know the totality of everything. To me, the most important thing is being inquisitive, willing to question things, not just accept things on face value. And I'm finding that this is making my life a lot better, because when you're actually willing to to stand back, take a little bit more of a bird's eye view of things, and realize that you're totally in charge of how you see the world, well, why not choose to see it in a more generous way, definitely a more peaceful way, and then rather than trying to protect yourself against the rain or believe that you can stop it happening, well, you can learn to dance in it. And you can learn, you know, with that peacefulness, where the solutions are. And I'm able to stand up for myself far more with this view of being less attached, of not trying to be right all the time, to establish what really matters. And if there are things that genuinely gripe me or annoy me, well, ever increasingly, I see that as an opportunity to do a really fantastic, deep transformational work, so that nothing can keep me from doing what I want to do, living my life in the way that I want, and actually being useful. Angry people are not really useful. When you feel anger, that's a sign that you need to do some work. It's a wake-up call. It's not a healthy manner of living. But I think people get lost in the fight. And as I say, I don't know this for certain, but I certainly see a lot of people sharing relentlessly, not just once or twice, but endlessly sharing things that all they're doing are depressing people. And you're not useful either when you are depressed, which is just resistance to the way that things are, of what's actually happening. In order to find solutions, you have to accept what's going on is going on. And I think most people just struggle with doing that, because they feel that life becomes hopeless when you accept things. But no, opposite, absolute opposite. You become really useful, and you can rally people around a good and common cause. And how much do we really know? How much of what we think we see is imagination or ego? be peaceful, be powerful, and be purposeful.